Hello, beautiful people, and let me actually look at you while I'm talking to you. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. I figured we'd do a little chit chat, get ready with me. I am getting ready to go nowhere, but I'm getting ready to film some sponsored content. The sponsored content that I'm filming is for a new release from one of my favorite brands, and it involves the lips. So I can't or won't really film that without doing my whole face. So I was like, you know what, let me just use this as an opportunity to test out new makeup, try new products, whatever. I'm gonna adjust my camera a little bit. No, don't do that. Yeah, move up a little bit so that there's a little bit of space above my head. And so I was like, you know what, let me chat. I wasn't actually going to. I thought about taking this week off from posting, which normally, this is how I know life coaching really works, because normally I'd be like, no, you can't lose the streak, no. But I really genuinely, am proud of myself for the consistency that I've had, and also don't want to force it if there's nothing there, which there wasn't for a long time, primarily because I have just been incredibly exhausted this week. The fatigue I've experienced this week was just hit me like a pile of bricks, and I don't really know where it's coming from. I knew part of it was because it was my period this week, so that was part one. But it just was heavy fatigue. I can't do anything. I don't want to go anywhere, but I still did because I had commitments and obligations. But I just I had to completely just give myself a break. And it's so funny because I just stepped out for a little bit to pick up something, and on my way out, I ran into someone who I know who lives in my building, and she said to me, she was like, "You look so tired." And normally I feel like people take offense to statements like that, because you don't tell somebody that they look tired. That's not what if they're actually, especially if they're not tired, and if they just feel and look fine, or feel fine but just don't look it. But for me, sometimes those statements are validation, because I'm just yeah, I feel really tired. So the fact that someone can see it, for me, makes me feel a little bit better, because I'm just okay, I'm not crazy, I'm not being dramatic, I'm actually very tired. Which obviously it shouldn't take someone telling me that I look tired to validate what I already feel, and it didn't. I already felt really tired, and I already was I took kind of a serious break from posting on IG stories this week, which is where I tend to show up the most consistently. And I was just yeah, no pressure, remove all the pressure, and just pop back in this thing when you're feeling up to it. So I don't know, sometimes I just feel really validated when I say I'm tired. And I think a lot of times that just comes from people not believing Black women when they say they're tired, which is deep and a whole separate thing. But I don't know, for some reason I just felt really seen in that moment when she was like, "You look really tired, your whole body, you just look like you're tired." So that ended up being really helpful, because I'm just see, I'm not crazy, But the good news is, see, I already knew that by this time I would probably be feeling this burnout, and guess what? I have scheduled a vacation. Our trip to Montenegro, we leave for that tomorrow. I love ya. Tomorrow. And I had initially planned on my trip to Montenegro being a packed vacation, or a balance of vacation and travel. However, it looks like God is trying to be actually, no, you could chill. You should chill. And I say that because I, was really excited to explore Montenegro, and I specifically, one, I'm excited to stay at the hotel I'm staying at, which I'll share more details on it once I'm no longer there. But I basically booked this trip because I wanted to stay at this particular hotel. This was a hotel-driven travel adventure, and the price for this hotel is really it's a luxury 5-star resort. And for that reason, prices are ridiculous. And y'all know, like, I'm not afraid to spend a little something, but even the price, like, it was more than a little something. But they have like 3 tiers of pricing. They have their shoulder season, they have their off-peak, their shoulder, and their peak. And the last week of April is the last week of their off-peak pricing, which is the lowest by far. Like, I'm pretty sure the off-peak pricing, the peak pricing is like, let me do the math. I'm just gonna fully say it. Like, off-peak, I want to say is around like $250, $350 a night. And peak, so if you go in the middle of like July, August, which is like summer in Europe time, peak pricing is like $1,700 a night. So I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing $1,700 a night. But I really did want to stay at this hotel, and I really did need like an April vacation, because I knew I would just be, I knew I would be wanting to travel. This combo is like now my favorite shade combo. And that is the Too Faced Chestnut with the MAC. Is there condensation on the inside of this? What is going on here? I just saw water drip down the side, but the inside of my MAC concealer. MAC Pro Longwear shade NC50 and Too Faced Born This Way in Chestnut make this concealer combination under my eye, which is like perfect for me. So we love to see it. I'm still gonna go in with the Danessa Myricks Juice Boost because I can't stay away and because I need a little hydrate. So we love that. What's it called? So I was like, great, I'm gonna choose the last week of April. Why? Because that is the latest that I can book in the off-peak season, and I want to go at a time when it is as warm as possible, and the odds that it is warmer the last week of April are much higher than like the last week of March, the first week of April, etc., etc. I was wrong. I want to say since the last week of March, the temperature in Montenegro was like 75 degrees was the high, 78 degrees. Even one day there was like 80 degrees. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, brilliant. Like, by the time I get there, it's going to be, 75, 78, 80, like perfect. I'm going to have a little, nice little trip. Like, I'm going to have a nice weather, like, an escape from this weather. All I was hoping for was 70 degrees. I mean, now you talking about you're at 70, 75, 78, 80. Bet, like, brilliant. Like, that's actually about to be perfect. Tell me why, as soon as it gets to this week, like literally I want to say as soon as it hit Wednesday of this week and I leave on Saturday, as soon as it gets to this week, temperatures plummet and it's rainy every day. And for the whole entire week that I will be in Montenegro, the temperature does not go above like 60 degrees. So essentially it's back to winter, like it's back to fall weather. Am I devastated? Yeah. And not only is the temperature dropping, but it's like raining essentially every single day except for one day that I'm there. And I'm devastated more so about the rain. Like, obviously I wanted my nice little, like boat experience, like but I still would have done the boat thing like on a cold day. I just would have had to like really bundle up and wear a jacket and not really have my like outfits. So like now I have to change the vision that I had for my outfits. Okay, fine. But then on top of that, it's like raining. And that's really what the issue is. The issue is now a lot of the excursions and the activities that I wanted to do, like, one, wouldn't be fun in the rain and would be annoying, especially considering my hairstyle. Like, at first I was like, traveling with a sew-in is not ideal, but I'm not really going to be in a hot destination. But now that it's raining, I'm just like, I don't want to just be out all day in the rain because my hair is going to start to look crazy. Cool. But then on top of that, one of the excursions that I booked, or some of the excursions that I booked, are actually impacted by rain. So like my hotel, which is booking all of it, is like, oh, like The horseback riding is not available. First of all, it's not open yet because it's early, like the people we partner with aren't open. And we all know how much I love to do horseback riding when I go abroad. And so that's one of the things where I'm just like, cool. Now I'm either going to have to book that excursion on my own, not through the hotel, or forego it altogether. And it was something that I was really looking forward to. I'm probably still going to find a way to do it. But it's just like small things like that I'm just like, maybe I don't have to be out and about. Like, I really can just like enjoy a chill week in Montenegro on the most stunning resort and get my money's worth. Because I don't know, I think after doing more research, Montenegro is the type of place where like the things that you primarily do there are outdoor activities. And considering that it's going to be raining all week, I'm probably not going to be wanting to engage in a bunch of the outdoor activities. And for that reason, like, I might as well just take the L and just like enjoy the resort, enjoy the spa services, and just like enjoy a week, especially given the fact that I'm tired, like, given the fact that I'm genuinely tired. So that's why I say, like, honestly, like, this might just be a case of I take advantage of the day where it's not raining and like do the things that I want, like just enjoy that day. And then like every other day that it's raining, just like chill and not really do too much. I don't know what I should do, but I know all I wanted was 2 days of like full excursions and 2 days of full activities. And I also really wanted to do a cooking class and horseback riding. There are different horseback riding vendors, but I was just very much so in my like, I don't want to handle anything. I want my hotel to do everything. And they already can't follow through with the horseback riding, like, which is annoying me, but whatever. I'm not going to be annoyed. I'm going to have a great time. This is my second solo trip of the year, which is actually crazy. I don't think I've done more than one solo trip in a year. I fully haven't, actually. So this is pretty big for me to be doing a two-peat. And honestly, I'm probably this is my travel year. I'm going to just tell you right now, I have no desire to be at home in the country. I very much so feel that like this is a year I'm supposed to be traveling. Part of me feels like it could be because I got a little boot thing coming, somewhere in the pipeline or whatever, but I'm not even about to be all deep and I don't even know what the word is, like, dramatic about that. But I very much so just feel like for some reason, I just have a feeling like for some reason that like I really, really need to lean into doing a lot of the travel related things that I want to do. I'm just very hyper aware of the fact that like once I have a spouse, I'm not going to be able to just book a flight and pick up and go. Like, that's going to have to be a conversation. And it's probably, in my opinion, like I'm not saying that you can't solo travel when you're like in a serious relationship or in a marriage, but I imagine like if my spouse were traveling for fun by himself, I'd be like, I want to go. Like, me too. Can I go? So I imagine that unless he like really, really does not like travel, which I can't fathom being with somebody who doesn't like travel, given how much I like travel. Unless he doesn't like travel, I can't imagine him not feeling away with me just like solo traveling every like 2-3 months. So like, I just have a feeling that the level at which I travel, unless he's traveling for work or something like that, is probably going to be a little bit readjusted. Unless like I'm traveling for work and able to bring him. Like leisurely solo travel is probably going to decrease once I enter a serious relationship and marriage. I'm in the mood to use Pat McGrath's foundation because as much as I love my NARS combo, if you follow me on TikTok, you know what that is, but as much as I love the NARS combo, I don't really feel like mixing foundations, and when I don't feel like mixing, I'm gonna just go straight for the patty. Straight for the baddie. The thing about the Pat McGrath foundation, though, is she is a runner and a track star. So it's like you got to be careful the way you apply it. And like, she's not the type of thing that you apply. I mean, you could apply it on the back of your hand and dab it on your face, but I like to apply it directly to face just based off of how it runs. But that's just me. But on to the actual topic of today's video, because I think I just ranted for no reason. But we're actually just chatting. There's no rant here. There's no rant when it's a get ready with me. But the topic of today's video, it's just a general life update and how I've been experimenting with like completely not drinking. And I love that for me. So I want to backtrack a bit and first of all, like talk a little bit about my relationship or lack thereof with alcohol. I'm trying to think of when I first, where do I even begin? So boom. Okay. I've always been a person that like, you know, not always been a person, but like when I became of legal age, it was like, all right, get a drink, like, you know, a little cocktail. We're grown now. Pop some champagne, like da-da-da-da-da. Cool. And I don't even know where I'm going with this. Ooh, I'm trying a new concealer today. I just bought these from Sephora because I've heard great things about the Kofi concealers, and the shade range is not incredibly overwhelming, at least as it appeared in the store. So I just went for the two that were like second from being the deepest. So this is Faluda Fizz and this is Kesar Pista. Faluda Fizz looks like it's going to give me a little bit more brightness, so I'm going to put that in first. Okay, not bad. So yeah, it's not like I never had a time period where I was like, oh, like, don't drink, good, this, that, and the third. Actually, I do have notes on this, so I should stick to my notes because I don't want to be all over the place, and I also don't want to look back on this and be like, you forgot this part. Now what's going on? Content calendar. I'm using Notion, by the way. I use Notion. Content calendar, YouTube. Open. So I'll start. Okay, here's where I'll start. I gave up alcohol during Lent. If you don't know, like, Lent season is just a time period absorbed by some Christians. 40 days whereby you kind of like sacrifice something and give something up. You fast from something. So there's like a more, I'm not really familiar with the Catholic version, which I think is where it kind of like originated or became popularized. But like, I know with the Catholic version, there's like, you know, something about not eating meat or, you know, some fish on Fridays or something like that. That wasn't me, but more so just like, you know, going through a period of fasting from something, sacrifice, you know, for the sake of just like communion with God. I'm using the darker shade on the inside of my face now. So here's what I will say. By the time I got to law school, by the time I started law school in 2019, I wasn't really too pressed about drinking. I had done and experienced the of a lot of college, right? Once you turn 21 in college, or even just college in general. And then, what's it called? Not only college, but then like moving back to New York and living in New York post-grad. So I had done that. I knew what it was like to be a 21 illegal drinker in New York. I knew what that was like. I had that experience also in college. So by the time I started law school, like, I wasn't much of a drinker. But there wasn't really anything in particular that made me like be like, I should just stop drinking altogether, right? I would still, and here's the reason, the true reason for that, honestly, is I'm still gonna go in with my NARS Laguna. The reason for that is people in law are drunkards. for lack of better words. But okay, like to ease up a bit and to backtrack a bit, like people in the legal profession drink a lot. And it's not just like I'm saying that, like it's like it's an actual like there are statistics about how people in the legal profession like drink OD, like OD drink. To the point where it just becomes like, you know, like when you drink in college or when you drink when you just turn legal, it's like it's like like you go really, really hard on the designated days that you're drinking. Like you're not going to drink on a random like Wednesday, depending on where you went to school. But for me, it wasn't like that. It was like, all right, when we have a party, when we have somewhere to be, like when we have something, but we're not just going to whip out drinks like just because we're 21 now. Like we're not just going to do that. In the legal profession, it would be like happy hours on firm events, happy hour, like drinking is just like embedded in life, and it is a fact, like it is almost like a fact of life when you are in the legal profession. So like law school events would have drinks, firm events would have drinks. Obviously those are not the places to get drunk. Like you should not get drunk at work events, but like those sorts of things can creep up on you because like imagine having 1 to 2 drinks at an event, but then having like 3 to 4 events a week. Like you're drinking a lot. Like that's just a lot of drinking. And for me, like I didn't really love it. Like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, sure, I'll have a drink if you're like, what am I drinking? Or if there's a bar menu and the only drinks on the menu are drinks, like are like alcoholic drinks, like sure, it's not like I don't drink, right? It was one of those like, well, it's not like I don't drink, so I'll have one, but like it got to a place where I'm just like, what? Like, I don't want to do this really all the time. Funny enough, my first year of law school, I was in a relationship with someone who like did not drink. And for me, like, it was interesting. Like, it was never a conversation. Like, it was never a like, I don't drink, so you shouldn't drink, or I don't drink because Christians don't drink. Like, it was never a type of thing like that. It's not like I didn't want, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I actually don't even know what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes, okay, what I'll say is this. Back then, I was at the stage where personally, I felt like being around people who did not drink, especially if they were not drinking like for religious reasons, made me feel like they were judging me for drinking. And I think that's important to mention because it allows me to have a lot more like understanding for folks who like are weird when people say that they're not drinking. Because for me, there was once upon a time where I felt that way, where like, if you come around me and you're not drinking and you see that I'm drinking, that you're like judging me, or that you are like just thinking that I'm not a good Christian or I'm not a good whatever. And so I went through the period of time where like I felt that way. But it never was like a thing that came up in discussion about like in the context of our relationship. Like he never was like, you should stop drinking, you know, and I was never like, you're too stuck up. Like it was just like a fact. Like he doesn't drink, I do, not an issue. Eventually it got to the place where, so during COVID, post breakup with actually this person, I think during COVID in general, I was very isolated. And so like, I fell into the habit of just like casually drinking a whole bottle of wine, like on my own. Like very much so being like, oh, well, like I'm home, there's nowhere to be, there's nothing to do, let me just enjoy a glass of wine. Oh, like enjoy a glass of wine. Well, if I don't finish the bottle of wine, like it's gonna go bad and that'll be a waste of my money. Like, and so I didn't really love that. And so like, because I just felt like I was losing control and I was just like becoming sloppy with my life. Like, girl, why are you drinking like this? Like, what is going on? And so I cut that out cold turkey on some like health and wellness vibe. And I got snatched. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was coupled with the slight depression of heartbreak. So I was definitely on the heartbreak diet. But when I just cut out alcohol altogether, it was like, oh dang, like fat is gone, inflammation is gone, like, you know, like, oh, this is, so from that time period, I realized like, oh, the quickest way for me to get snatched, the quickest way for me to tone up, the quickest way for me to like look really, really good is to cut alcohol completely out of my diet. So that was like, okay, first observation right there. Cool. And that just became a mental note that like every now and then when like I would really want to focus on my health and really just want to like, you know, go all in, or if I had a vacation coming up and I really, really wanted to snatch up, I would just be like, I'm not drinking alcohol because for health reasons. So I would say that that was the beginning of me like practicing like saying why I wouldn't drink alcohol. Because again, like by the time I got to law school, I didn't really care to drink that much. But like it was almost as if you were in those settings, you were viewed a little bit weirdly for not having a drink, or other people would think that you were judging them if you were not having a drink, and they were. And oftentimes, like the whole "what are you drinking" question is like a social question, right? Like no one's gonna just get what you're drinking. Well, not no one, but you know, like it's not really ever about what you're drinking as much as it is about like starting a conversation about what you're drinking, that sort of thing. So cool. Fast forward. This is not even a fast forward. This is more so something that I would like to add for additional context. The way I grew up with a mom who does not drink. Like I did not grow up in the household where like parents drank. And so for me, like I didn't grow up with that. And I liked that I didn't grow up with that. Like I liked the fact that my mom did not drink. I liked that. And one thing I will say is like I knew and I know that that is something that I want in my household for my kids. Like I want my kids to grow up with parents that do not drink. And for me, as I thought about it, I would often think like, dang, like at what point am I going to go from being, at what point am I going to transition into being that person or that parent that doesn't drink? The obvious answer is once I'm pregnant. Like I was like, okay, like once I get pregnant, I'm easily going to, you know, transition out of drinking, obviously, because you can't drink while you're pregnant. And I'm probably just going to like cut it cold turkey then. And also to clarify, that probably is what explained, like, that's why I had no issue with dating someone who did not drink. Because for me, I was just like, great, we're already there with you. Like, because when we have kids, like, I don't want any of us to drink. And I think it's like it's a little bit like, I would rather you just be already on that page because I don't want you to drink. Like, I don't want it to be a weird conversation where I'm just like, hey, now that we have kids, can you stop drinking? Like it's way less likely that that would be the case. So I genuinely didn't mind and genuinely actually really like dating people who don't drink for whatever reason. So the reason that like end game and ultimate long-term goal was like when kids come into the picture and when I'm raising kids, like I'm not going to be a parent who drinks. I'm not going to be a parent who's having wine at dinner. Like I'm just simply not going to be a parent who drinks because I just don't even want that. And I like the way that I like that was a thing in my upbringing. Like I like that my mom didn't drink. Cool. So that being like the ultimate end goal, I didn't really know when or how like I was going to get there. And I always assumed that like once I got pregnant, like that would be the final like transition. But as I just kept like experiencing life and as I just gradually got older, I don't know, I was just like, I just realized like I don't really like this anymore. I really don't. And here's one thing I will say. By the time I also like got to law school and as a Christian, I had gotten to the point where I resolved that I would no longer get drunk. Like I did not want to get drunk. And so that was my like Christian like conviction, if you want to say. Like I was like, okay, like I'm still gonna drink, However, it'll be like, oh, like I can have a glass of wine, or I can have a glass of champagne, or I can have like, you know, a cocktail, a mixed drink, but it usually would just be one, and I would absolutely not get drunk, and I would definitely not drink for the intention of getting drunk. I would drink for just like the drink. The issue with that, however, is that I actually don't like drinks. I don't like drinks. As a concept, it actually is really funny, because it's like, once I told myself that I would just drink for the sake of like the taste of the drink and not to get drunk, it became even more apparent to me that I actually don't even like to drink. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I absolutely do not like shots. Don't even come near me with that. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what is wrong with you? Right? Like, it tastes like rubbing alcohol. Like, shots are actually disgusting, because like, who likes the taste? I mean, I'm sure there's some people who like the taste of like tequila straight, but like, that is not me. I don't like the taste of that stuff. You know what I do like? Sweet drinks. So anytime I would get a drink, like, it would be like, oh, can I get a pina colada? Anything with passion fruit. Like, if I see a drink with passion fruit on the menu, like, I would order it right away. And that made me realize, like, girl, you don't like the alcohol that's in the mixed drink. You actually just like the fruit flavors. You like the juice. And if you want juice, you can have juice. You don't need to put rum in juice to enjoy the juice. And so for me, like, I don't know, the thing that was missing was just like a level of boldness to be like, I don't want to drink, and I'm actually not drinking. And here's the thing, I couldn't really attribute it to a particular reason, because I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I don't feel, and even now, I don't feel convicted to not drink because of my faith. I feel convicted to not be drunk, right? So my reason for not being drunk was clear, but my reason for not drinking wasn't clear. But it was all of the things added up. It was, I don't really like the taste of alcohol. It's not really good for my body. I don't really like the idea of feeling pressured into doing it. And like, it doesn't really do anything it doesn't add to my life. It essentially got to a place where I was like, the reason I don't want to drink is because it doesn't add to my life in any way. It doesn't enhance my life in any way. And I remember having a conversation with my life coach where I was like, I don't think I really want to drink. And I think the only times I would want to drink is when I'm on vacation and there's a pina colada, but which also doesn't really apply, because there are virgin pina coladas, which I now do engage with and have. And she was like, so then you don't have to drink. And I was like, but I don't really have a reason why I don't drink. And I don't think the reason is like, because like I'm Christian or because whatever, because I personally don't really think that I can't have a glass of wine, right? But I also don't want to. And maybe that's the conviction right there. Like, maybe that's it. Like, I just think there's just been a small, slight change in my spirit where I'm just like, why are you doing the things that you don't want to do that also don't happen to be that good for you either? Like, it was just one of those things where it's just like, so you naturally in your spirit don't want to do this. There's nothing about it that's good for you. You don't miss out of an experience. Like, there's nothing really that you're missing. So why is it this tug of war? So, and why do you feel like you need to have a reason, right? That was really what my life coach like presented. She was like, you don't need to have a reason other than you just don't want to. So Lent was my first practice in like having a reason, because here's the thing, the reason wasn't really for me as much as it was for creating a boundary with other people. Because funny enough, whenever you do not drink, people are going to ask questions, or they're going to ask why. And again, I have empathy or sympathy, or I understand where they're coming from, because I used to be there, where like people are going to think that by not drinking, you are judging them for drinking, or at least that's where my mind was probably because something about it felt wrong to me. But that, you know what? That's it. The reason why I felt like I needed to have a reason was because whenever you say that you are not drinking, people ask you why. And I never really had a reason other than I just don't want to. And for some reason, I felt like that wasn't a good enough reason. And there are plenty of reasons now that I've like gone over to the side of not really having too many drinks or not really drinking. I realize that there are so many reasons why other people don't drink. One, there are women who are pregnant. There are women who are trying to become pregnant. There are people who have alcoholism that runs in their family, and they are not even trying to play and mess around with that and go anywhere near that. There are people who are allergic to alcohol. There are people who, there are just so many things. And then on top of that, there are just people who don't desire to drink. There are obviously people who don't drink for religious reasons, for faith-based reasons, all of those things. And so I found that in my like sober curious journey, I don't even think I would call it sober curious. I found in my like step back from alcohol that there are actually so many people who are not drinking. And I just had to join the crew to find that out. And another thing I will say is like, law is a space where people drink a lot, but so is the world of content creation, brand events, alcohol, always there. There's like, and there'll be brand events 3 times a week, 4 times a week, honestly. And like, that's another space where it's like, you have to consistently be like, no to alcohol. No, I'm not having wine with the dinner. Like, no, I'm not. So I gave it up for Lent. And I will admit that like all of these factors put together means that it wasn't really like Lent is supposed to be like you sacrifice something, like you like sacrifice something. At least that was my impression of it. And like alcohol, it was not difficult for me to give up alcohol for Lent. Like it fully was not. The only like difficulty was like my birthday fell during Lent. But it wasn't nothing to me to just not drink. Like, I'm not like the type of person to be like, let's go to the club on my birthday and pop bottles. Like, when I went to Jamaica and got to my room, they left me a bottle of champagne. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people celebrate with alcohol. And so like when you are not a drinker, it just like, because it's so ingrained in a lot of societies and cultures, like you just end up being that person that's like, thank you, but like, no thanks. Like, my friends brought alcohol, like, or like, you know, someone bringing a bottle of champagne to you as a celebration, like, and I'm just like, no, I'm not drinking, like, you know, whatever. But that being said, I did not drink all throughout Lent, and it wasn't really challenging, and it also felt really good. Like, despite the fact that it wasn't that challenging, it was like, like, I actually did this. I made a conscious decision to not, like, you know, drink. Because in the past, like, okay, you bring me a bottle of champagne on my birthday, like, I'll have a glass, you know, like, that's not a problem. But like, what was different this time was like, I was like actively committing to being like, no, I'm actually not drinking. Thank you so much for this bottle of rum, hotel in Jamaica, but I'm not drinking, like those sorts of things. And I did not mind it one bit. Like, number one, I again feel like healthy, right? I feel snatched. Oh, and so the spoiler alert is that I mean, Lent is obviously over, but I still haven't had any alcohol. And I think I have a much better relationship with like deciding when I would like to drink. But a lot of the times, like, the reason is not good. Like, a lot of the times I simply just don't desire drinking in that moment, and I won't. So for that reason, it's like, I now just feel a lot more comfortable with being very clear about the fact that I'm not drinking tonight, and like, that's just it. Like, it's not a, oh, I'm, you know, I gave it up, or I'm taking a break. It's just like, no, I'm not drinking tonight. I'm not drinking. Next, moving along. Here's to clarify, like, I'm not like, oh, I don't drink no more, period. Like, I'm very much so still open to a glass of champagne or anything like that when I feel like it. The only thing is I haven't felt like it. So if I don't feel like it, I won't. That's the big win. The big win is, instead of ignoring the times when I don't feel like it, the big win is I actually listen and ask myself, hey, do you feel like having a glass of champagne right now? No? So don't. And I haven't felt like it. And so I thought about it, and I was just like, dang, like, am I going to feel like it in Ghana? Like, am I going to whatever? Let me tell you something about that place, about Nigeria and Ghana in December. that is the last place where I need to have, where I feel like, where there is a feel like I need to have alcohol to have some sort of fun. The music alone, like I have been in spaces where it's just been like, I don't feel, there's no alcohol feeling. I'm not even tipsy. I'm not even whatever. And I'm having a good time because the music that I love is playing. Like I want to dance and I get to dance, like those sorts of things. So in my mind, I was like, actually, yeah, like I could be pretty fine. I could be pretty fine. And I love that for me. Obviously, everybody should do, and this is in no way pressure to be like, oh, like you must stop drinking. Like, what are you doing? Because like, no, I was just there yesterday. Like, what? But it's just a very, like, it's very interesting to see this all unfold as someone who like knew I eventually wanted to get to a place where I really didn't drink, particularly in the context of raising kids, but like didn't really know how I would get there, and it's working itself out. It's working itself out just fine. At any rate, thank you so much for listening to me rant in this video. I pretty much just wrapped up filming the lip sponsored content that I needed to film, and stay tuned for that because it should be up on TikTok in the next couple of weeks so I can finally share the details of this lip combo. That's so exciting. But in the meantime, yeah, thank you for listening to me rant. Thank you for getting ready with me. Looking forward to our next chat and looking forward to vacation because we need that. We need that. So stay tuned because we're going to Montenegro. Oh, also, oh my gosh, don't forget to subscribe. Like, what fun would that be if you just listened to this whole entire conversation and got ready with me and don't even subscribe so that you don't know when the next video is coming? Like, come on, girl. Come on, bro. Come on, sis. Come on, mister. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. Truly, genuinely, like, I really do appreciate you. And people are just like so nice, unprovoked, and it just makes me believe, I mean, God makes me believe in humanity again, but it just further like re-solidifies that like people are good, and it is good to be good. It is good to be kind. And I thank you for the ways that you have been kind to me and engaged and supported and asked questions and just been here. Riding with me, rocking with me for no reason. Like, for no reason. Do you understand that? For no reason. But thank you really so much. It means the most to me, more than you ever know, more than I even probably have really even processed or registered. So thank you again. And I can't wait for us to chat next time. Bye.